One, I realized when we'd had dinner with them before, and that you have worked with them, they actually look up to you, they look at you. It seemed like they look to you and look at you the entire conversation. And I didn't feel included. In fact, I felt excluded because you guys talked about doing a project together. Do you remember that? The dinner at Sauce. We all talked about doing business together.
Oh, you're talking about you didn't feel included at a previous dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I realized last night, similarly, they would just look at you. They would look at you. Anyway, that's just a side note, I guess, to like maybe what was happening. But the second thing was, there was another time where I did feel this awkward energy, so I just decided to name it. Maybe I as I reflected on it, I'm like, oh, maybe I did that too early. And then it was really weird, and they didn't know what I was talking about, and I was like, okay, never mind. What I was attempting to do was to say, hey, if there's something in the field that's not, I feel like there's something in the field that's not being said, but I think I said it too early. This feels like kind of complicated, and to say it really quickly is kind of hard. It's a little bit subtle.
So it's a lot. So let's just see what stands out from Magic. Let's see what stands out in what he heard. And welcome Paul Sterling, by the way.
Paul Sterling, I know Paul Sterling.
Oh. The great Paul Sterling.
I know Paul Sterling from like Phoenix Q.
Oh,
no,
Paul
not Phoenix,
Sterling.
like Boulder Q. Many years ago, I think. Wow. Okay, so.
You're famous, Paul.
Famous Paul.
The great Paul. Okay.
So what I heard you say, I heard you apologize at the beginning, but I don't actually remember what you apologized for at this moment. And then I heard you share that you had been feeling uncomfortable because in a previous meeting that we had, you felt excluded and like you weren't included. And that in the conversation, you had a sense that they look up to me because I've worked with them before, and that they're making eye contact with me, what seemed like to you the whole time, and that you weren't feeling included and connected. And so then perhaps out of all of that, when he started talking about his work, but you remember him talking about other projects as well, not just his corporate work, that you said something that you maybe had planned to say later, but you said it too early, about there being something unsaid in the space, which wasn't unsaid yet. Did I get that right?
Yes, and I actually heard, I didn't plan to say it at all. He was actually talking about not only his corporate gig, this is what I'm remembering, his other projects. And I don't exactly remember what was said, what I was.
So I'm gonna come in for a moment.
Okay.
Just because I want to kind of open it up to the group a little bit and,
okay.
and kind of do a couple of teaching points. Plus, it's still kind of hard to hear you guys, unfortunately.
Oh, well.
But a teaching point. Notice that Magic was paying very close attention, but like he couldn't remember what the apology was for. And that's probably because she said a lot. And so it's really hard to track a lot of data.
And you can actually take it, in my opinion, take it more efficiently and effectively in when you take more pauses. And I recognize you're in front of the class, so you're just like wanting to, like I'm guessing, kind of go over and be efficient. But just to take more pauses and to ask for reflection, and so that you really feel like he's getting you. Because when you're offering a heartfelt apology, you really want the other person to really feel your remorse and feel like, their care. So it's just a good reminder.
Yeah. And I want to say that, thank you. This is a great start from our, from what we're doing for people who just joined us, is asking each person or couple, what's one practice or one teaching you'd like to have support for. So recognize we're kind of, in a way, cutting you guys off still in the middle of the process. I'm hoping they'll stay with us, but if you also want to continue to go back and forth to acknowledge each other and drop into greater understanding, that's totally okay. So whatever you guys need, but I'm going to open it up to our next participant. And also want to give the great Paul Sterling, our friend, a chance to say hello. You're unmuted, Paul.
Thank you. I was dealing with some technical issues and getting the modem working, so I was a little late here. Sorry about that.
Good to have you with us.
So I'm just catching up. I'm excited to be here, and I'm always interested in watching the art of empathy, the art and science, where they collide and when they work together. So,
well, we look forward to getting you some of your thoughts and comments and wisdom. So thanks for joining us. Who would like to go next? Either a real issue. Julian Lawrence. Awesome. We love Julian Lawrence.
We love you too. Are we on? Can you everyone hear us?
Oh, yeah, we hear you.
Hello, everyone. I feel like we're the Brady Bunch right now with our squares.
Yeah, totally.
And I really am tripping out on the frogs. Is that from you? Is that from you?
Yes.
They're so loud.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
You know what it is? We're so used to them because they go all night long, so we don't even hear them unless.
Yeah, I was like, I was looking at the chat box, like, what are they freaking talking about?
So, anyways, always here to practice. What happened was last night at dinner, we were talking about making plans for the summer, and last summer, we had plans for a month vacation to Bali, all booked and ready to go. And at the very last minute, we had a family emergency that canceled the plans. And we ended up having a pretty intense summer that was not a vacation. Short story. So last night, me being not my nonviolent communication, we were talking about this summer's plans. And I just kind of blurted out, and he has a better memory of exactly what I said. What did I say? You remember the one line?
Well, I'm just trying to think about the line. It was, I mean, what I got from it was Julie got back into her story about how, why even bother making plans? Because they're just going to get canceled anyway. I mean, that was kind of that's what landed on me was like, it's just gonna be more of the same.
Like, don't put much into it because it's just gonna happen again.
Yeah, I mean.
So I just want to pause for a moment because that's such a great example. It's a veil of past pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that veil of past pain comes down, right, then Lawrence, his ninja move ideally is to recognize she's needing empathy and acknowledgement for how painful that experience was. Now, critical Lawrence can go into the new age thing of don't create a negative future based on the pain of the past, right? That's what, that's what new age, super guru, non-empathy guy does.
You want to manifest more of the same? Or
exactly.
Or do you want to create a future that's free and distinct from your past?
Exactly. That's the landmark response. That's Tony Robbins' response, but it's not the Love Coach Academy response.
Right. So
I just want to say that as a man, like I'm not a man, but I can imagine empathy as a man, to not feel trusted by your woman, that somehow something you're planning or like you're looking forward to that somehow she doesn't trust you is like such a dagger to like my belly and my heart. Like I want my woman to know that like this is happening. Like we're doing this. Like,
And that totally was not in my realm of, I don't trust you. That wasn't it at all. It was me being very disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
About last summer. And yes, through my veils of past pain, I was a little hesitant just saying, hey, we're talking about, I just brought up, hey, I also have this feeling. I'm afraid to book because it just may cancel again.
Right.
So what we would like to do is kind of recreate it, because what happened was then he got triggered by, for example, what Emily noted. immediately got critical and criticized me. But when we talked through it, he was like, well, I felt like you were criticizing me. And I'm like, no, I just wanted to kind of maybe clear, like, what's going on, what I'm feeling. And so this is so much of this work, right? Like, we're trying to be such ninjas and like be positive and be forward thinking, but it's like, I'm sorry, that's still there.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the other thing that triggered me also was then when I started talking about it, it was like, and then I, just brought up about languaging.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a way to say it, and it's like, well, it's my feelings. It's just, and I'm like, well, I got it, but this is the work, whether it's Landmark or whether it's, Love Coach Academy, the work is all it's all how we communicate, right? It's the way we share, so the way we message it to the other is how it's going to land. And is that the way you want it to land? We always have to be concerned about that, right? So really being wary or aware of our speaking.
So you're right.
And ideally, in an ideal world, it would be like that.
And when it's not ideal like
you
that,
get to be the ninja.
Right. You get to translate the jackal language into giraffe. It's like, or the egoic reaction.
Oh, it's my fault.
It's not shame. It's not your fault.
This is a great example.
Wrong word, fault.
Because I'm imagining, I want to give you some empathy for a moment. I happen to know about this situation because I was coaching you guys while it was happening. So I'm imagining that Lawrence needs empathy because he was also in an impossible situation last summer and probably feels badly, but also wants acknowledgement for how hard it was for him, the sacrifices he had to make. And every time Julie brings it up,
it brings that pain.
Brings back his own pain.
Right, he can only manage so much of that pain until it's like, oh, just like fix it, get off of it.
Can we move on?
Right?
Let's move
on. Why he attacks me and projects, right?
Yeah.
They're really just feeling pain. So
yeah, well, I do so much, I try so hard, and how is it that, like, gosh, that you're bringing that up? Really? Like, and we're trying to create our summer, and you're going to bring that into our space? Right?
I'm hearing a desire for acknowledgement, but appreciation, for how much, you show up and you're here and you're committed. And I don't know if that might be my projection.
I mean, it's a piece of that. And it's just the frustration of, getting back into the story, I guess, really, of just, I guess, so how.
May I?
Yeah, sure.
Since you interrupted.
Yes.
Thank you.
I apologize.
So question back to our coaches. Here I was just I actually wanted to share emotion and maybe talk about it and process it. Got triggered, wants to cut off. No, we're never going to talk about it again. That's what I'm hearing. No, never talk about it again. It's past. It's done. Never again. Because of whatever he needs empathy for, right? So how can I, in that moment, I have a desire to be like, well, look, I have feelings around this and some fears. And how can I approach that without that attack back?
So
don't ever talk about it again.
Right. So I want to offer a thought and then turn it over to the great Paul Sterling.
Yeah, I see him. Getting excited.
Slow down. That's what we call yellow light. Because when one person starts to get triggered, yellow light. When both people are triggered, definitely yellow light. Otherwise, it's going to just escalate. And yellow light, that's where we keep teaching it. Slow down, drop in. What am I feeling and needing? What is my partner feeling and needing? If you slow down and do that, then you guys can come back into connection. So since you're asking us what to do, that is what I really want to emphasize.
Pause.
Slow down, take a connected time out where you're both really stopping the conversation and tuning in. What am I feeling? What am I needing? What might my partner be feeling?
Sure. And then we come back to he doesn't want me to ever talk about it again. Yet I have.
But
If I can interject, what I had said at that point was, what if you had approached it a little differently? So, I'm telling Lawrence, I'm excited for the summer, and yet I have this, story that I'm telling myself about what happened last summer and how, how our plans, completely, came untangled. And right now I just actually would really love to get some reassurance from you, around that, because, the story that's going off in my head is really, it's preventing me from really getting excited about it, because I'm just really stuck in all those painful memories for what happened last time. So could you give some reassurance or empathy? Just even...
Okay, Lawrence, let me come in for a minute, because what you did was wonderful, and I just want to emphasize it, and I want to check in with Julie. But what he did that I really liked, he told her what he would enjoy. Now, it's not that that's what the right thing to do would be. I'll make it really clear, but it's like, if you can just, when you present to each other, this is the redo I would love.
And I would actually, before going into that, I would ask permission. Because I was sitting there thinking, like, if I was Julie, I'd start to get a little triggered.
And being told what to say.
What to say, being taught.
Your emotions aren't valued. Shut the fuck up, basically.
Like I do hear a subtle make wrong in there. So
let's hear from Paul.
Okay. So let's go back to the basics. Almost all communication is either an act of love or a cry for help. And what's going to push, the masculine has a way of listening that if the feminine is in pain, it's either their fault or their responsibility. So just understanding the default way that the masculine listens, it's not an excuse for us to avoid your pain, but you got to set the masculine up to win. And also for the feminine, when the feminine is in pain, telling it to be in pain a different way, it just doesn't work. It's not like there's a right or wrong way. There's a way that, if you think about communication and think about sales, with a salesperson, if you've ever been in a sales situation, you're either leaning in and you want to buy, you want to hear, or you're leaning away. So your communication is either causing your partner to lean in or lean away. And we can get into all sorts of language about how we should do that or not, but you got to get down to the fucking basics. The basics are either they're leaning in or leaning away. And it's like, you two really love each other. That's so obvious. And it's like, when your partner is in pain, do you want to give them a lecture or do you want to give them empathy? And it's great later in a locker room talk, when you're off of the field and nobody's triggered, to go, honey, here's what could work for me to make it easier for me to listen. In the middle of the game, you don't change the plays. It's like, wow. To look at your partner and go, God, I got it. You're in pain right now. Tell me more.
Yeah.
Like, those are magic moves. Look next to you there. Tell me more. That's what she wants to hear. The feminine, that's like crack to the feminine. It's like, it's the best drug or aphrodisiac you can do, is like, tell me more. I need to hear what's going on for you. Wow. Because you're not recreating it. What you're doing is, what really gets heard disappears. What doesn't get heard,
that's the really tough part. That's the really tough part for me around my veils of past pain was, the issues that I had with my mom and my need to fix it and get away from it as fast because I'm feeling engulfed by it. And that whole engulfment feeling of just it's overcoming me, and I don't want to sink down that path with you, and so it's hard for me to
was, I'm just feeling a little afraid to book our trip again.
Well, it was a little different, but
So wait. Like, we're not going to get into what exact. It doesn't matter. Here's the thing. It really doesn't matter what exactly was said. What matters more is what they heard.
Yes.
Right.
Because you get in this shitty argument when you argue about, well, no, that's not what you said, or what. It's just like, wow, here's what I heard. I heard my mom coming at me again, like, oh my God, I have no choice. I'm going to die. I'm going to be engulfed. And then she heard, you don't matter.
Yeah.
You said it wrong. It does until you say it right. I'm not listening. No.
Or if I'm not doing it the way that you want, there's something wrong with me, because she could be going into shame.
And that was her words to me. You're shaming me or something. I think you said those words, right? Yeah.
So I just leave it, hand it back over to them. But what I want you to do is look at both of you. There was a point of power where both of you could have done something a little bit different and gotten more of the result you wanted, more of the lean in.
Yeah.
And Lawrence, whatever you need for getting the empathy around your mom so that it's not as big a trigger, because there's 3 phases you go through, and Scott and Emily are the ones who really turned me on to this, but alert, alarm, attack. Alert, it's like something went off and like your system starts getting a little triggered. Alarm is you sounds like there's somebody in the other room and you're sleeping at night and you're like the adrenaline. And attack is when you no longer see your partner as your lover. Mm-hmm. They're your mom, they're your enemy, they're whatever, and you don't want to get there. You want to catch it at that early stage. Thank you.
You're the great Paul Sterling. We'll hear more.
Buddy. Thank you for that.
Yeah, awesome.
So what's a takeaway for each of you? What's a takeaway, something that you learned, something that you would do differently if you had to do over again?
Well, I mean, for me would be the whole concept around leaning in. I mean, I'm either, as Paul said, I'm either moving in toward a place of love or I'm pushing back, and I would and so how can I maintain connection in that discomfort, right? And trying to lean into that, get through my discomfort and try to understand what's going on for Julie in that scenario, right? So so tell me more about the pain that you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Lawrence.
Or the fear that you have around it, or
Thank you.
Have you had times where you've been with Julie and it's like it was so uncomfortable, but you were allowed yourself to just go in and even find that like place of surrender within it, where it wasn't so uncomfortable, it kind of became like you could see the beauty of the intimacy and let go into it? Have you had that experience?
I'm getting better at it. I'm working toward that. Definitely more. And this could have turned into a major, misery go round, and it really didn't. At the end of the day, I mean, it definitely got in the high yellow. In terms of, we didn't make it really to red, and it was like, so we still, there was a disconnect clearly, but we didn't get into a major argument over it, and we didn't, so. Yeah.
Julie, what's your takeaway?
Thank you. This is the constant work to recognize. One, so I said something consciously. My partner reacted very strongly, where I felt attacked. That's where my challenge is. Next time I would like to pause call the yellow, and use my ninja skills to be like, hey, can I reframe that again? Right? 1. And 2, recognize that that attack was him working out his feels of past pain. He needs empathy too. And my more work, as you guys know me well, like it's very challenging when I'm in a place of feeling attacked. That I'm just immediate defense, survival defense, and so it's challenging for me to move into empathy. So the yellow in recognizing his attack is actually his pain as well.
Well, and that's the thing too, is recognizing when you need empathy and your gas tank is already low and you want to be heard by him, and it triggers him, and then he needs empathy, and you guys both need empathy kind of at the same time, and then it's like polarization, and then you're not going to get met.
And that's why yellow light is so important, because during yellow light, we really get in touch with where we're at. If you can't really go into imagining what your partner is feeling and needing, then you know your empathy tank is so low that either they're going to really need to give you some empathy, or you need to take space and fill your tank up. And it stops escalation. And when that happens, I want to just say, if you can reach the point where you go, oh boy, right now I don't give a shit about my partner. I'm too triggered, I'm too tired, I'm too hungry, I'm too distracted, whatever it is, I need to go to the bathroom, whatever it is, if you just can't do it, that's when you say, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't give you the quality of care that you want, and I want to give you, let's take space, red light. And red light doesn't mean anyone's bad or wrong. It means that someone is conscious enough to realize we need to take space and fill our tanks up and then come back when we're both centered and connected.
That's the thing, though, is both people have to be committed that if they're going to make that boundary, then their commitment is also to create the reassurance. They're not using it as a checkout.
Right.
They're using it because they need to get centered and grounded and do the work and come back and use it as an opportunity to grow closer.
Right.
Like, this is what came up for me, this is what came up, and just like use it as a chance to grow deeper into intimacy. Because, I mean, if you're just avoiding the conflict, it's just going to turn into stuffed resentment, and then it's just going to come out all over the person again, and then you get to see the next misery go around.
And that does happen a lot, where the person who calls red light is just using it to stop. And so when you call red light, it's up to you to be proactive about, but let's come back and have this conversation tomorrow morning.
So, I mean, it's really about just letting a little steam out of the kettle.
Yeah.
You know? And because, you know, it's boiling, you know, and I don't want to say or do something that's going to be, and I'm going to regret even more later, right? So it's not that we're done with the conversation, but we're going to just take a break from it right now.
Exactly.
And just, you know, let's pick, and clearly that's the difference between bypassing or pushing it aside. Is the intent is not to, we're not going to not speak about it. No, not at all. I just need to let some, I'm feeling myself, I'm going to lose my crap. I'm going to lose my shit. And I don't want to lose my shit, because then it's all going to get really bad.
Yeah.
Whenever you feel you're on the edge of losing yourself, that's when you know you need to create a boundary. If you feel like you become so enmeshed or so entangled, or you can't feel what's going on for you, you're like done. You need to create a boundary. It's like you're not in yourself, you know?
Then you definitely can't get into the other person's world when you're not even in.
Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
All you can think about is your own world.
Hey, let's twinkle Lawrence and Julie. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That was really, really awesome. And I'd love to just open it up. If anybody wants to reflect what they saw within themselves or what they learned from this. Not advice. We're not asking you to give advice to Lawrence and Julie. But what does this reflect in your relationship, or what did you learn? And, okay, Lee, you are unmuted.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, good to see you.
It's good to see you two both, and good to hear from Paul. The thing that came up for me as I listened to this was the beautiful consciousness around noticing what's happening inside oneself and knowing when their empathy level is down. And the piece that I saw in myself that was the struggle was getting to this level inside myself and not bringing it to my partner and saying, can we call a connected timeout, so that it was explicitly named. And that was the piece in my last experience of this, that it was obvious that I wasn't able to really take in what she was trying to express in her pain. She wasn't able to take in mine. there was a naming of the market is closing in the next 45 minutes and her need to get her food. And I just let it be and said, that's a good thing. You got to go get your food, which is very different than saying, let's honor that we're in this place together. Let's have this intention to come back together and talk tomorrow. So everything except missing naming connected time out so that everybody knows what we're doing instead of just the ethers of we're hanging up the phone and we don't know what happened, but we hung the phone up.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah.
That's right on. Beautiful.
And the importance of that tool, it's like, and if people don't know what that tool is, if you go to howperfectlyhuman.com, series of videos we did like 2.5 years ago, a long time ago, but it's the practice of how to take a connected timeout and how to go through it. And there's some videos. It's a free video and you can sign up there.
Yeah, and so that's where you learn about taking connected timeouts. Thank you, Lee. That was awesome. Anybody else want to share about what came up for you watching Julie and Lauren so vulnerably and beautifully share their situation from last night? Anybody else want to comment or reflect? Kate, you are unmuted.
Hello.
Kate.
Well,
her mother is in Costa Rica.
Yes, in Costa Rica. Well, what I wanted to say was, because Daniel and I have been in a process, it was so amazing that you sent out this email with these 3 things, because it's literally where we have been stuck the last 3 days on these exact 3 issues.
Whoa,
I mean, it was like, and I showed this to Daniel, and he was like, wow, the universe has a really strange sense of humor. And I agree, but I think what I got from Lawrence and Julie, and what we're not really good at doing yet, is really entering into that timeout. I mean, we're just not even good at calling it, We're just not, it just like goes right by that. It just goes whoop, and we're escalating and we're off and running, and it's the blaming, and then it's he thinks I'm nagging and I'm talking too much, and then I better shut the F up, and then I go ballistic, and then I want you out of here. I'm not living with somebody who's talking to me like that, with that disrespect. And I mean, it's got really, really bad. So what I notice is we don't even know how to enter into that. Like, when is that? We need a whole lot more practice.
So, first of all, thank you. Thank you. And a big hello to you, Daniel. I think I see.
Here he is.
There you are.
See how connected we are right now, guys?
Yeah.
Not very.
We'll work on it.
Thank you for being here.
We're going to do our best to help you.
I mean, how could we not?
Yeah. So let's start with.
Come over from this, Daniel? Wow. Okay.
When do you call timeout? The moment the first person feels this first sign of agitation. See, most people wait until it's red light to call yellow light.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And really, I believe, and I call yellow light, I think, more often than Emily does. And she doesn't like it when I call yellow light. And we teach this stuff.
Right.
I'm just in a place like the moment there's that first agitation, that first uh-oh, or the first little zinger, or the first thing that was said that felt yucky or possibly yucky, yellow. Right. Let's check in. Let's slow it down.
Right. But you can't use that to shut the other person down.
No, it's not.
It's an act of care to both yourself and the relationship. Yeah. It's a you have to really change your mind orientation, because the ego goes, fuck you, you don't care. You need to really hear me. You need to be here for me.
Don't stop me.
Right. But that's where you're not going to get your needs met, because you're too abducted by your own pain body. So you guys both need to work on also just a lot of self-empathy. Like, when you get triggered, soothing yourself and really building your own well, so you can feel centered and full enough in yourself that you can hopefully give the other empathy. Because when you guys are continually both maxed out, you got to fill your own well so you can get strong, and then be able to have enough gas in the tank where you can translate and be.
Yeah. And I think part of the thing is, we're in Costa Rica and it's beautiful and it's paradise and everything, we're like right on top of each other 24/7.
Right.
It's like, I'm not leaving to go. He doesn't have a job. And, you know, sometimes it's like, it's too much. I need space. He needs space, you know? I think a lot more space. I think we're just way together, way too much. Way too much.
We're going to talk about that. I want to read Lawrence of India wrote a comment to you, Kate.
Okay.
I really want to read to the group. It says, Kate, we've been coached for months by these guys, and the simple practice of yellow and red light in capital letters saved our relationship. It's not easy. It takes practice, but it's worth it because it works eventually.
Thank you very much. But what I was noticing with you guys is I'm realizing we really need to like practice it like a muscle, you know? It's like a muscle that we don't have strong.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a habit.
Yeah.
Right now you have the habit of escalating.
Right.
The habit of each of you wanting to defend yourself and then defending yourself, attacking the other. And I'm going to call on Paul in a sec. Just one thing I want to mention. I'm concerned that probably what's happened is right now, both of you are seeing the other as an enemy.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that. I was like, what happened to my joyful best friend that I used to love doing stuff with? I feel like I live with an adversary.
Right. Well, and that's
like an adversary, you know? It's like, wow.
Right. That's because our brain stores a memory of painful encounters at 5 to 30 times greater than pleasurable ones. So each time either of you feel blamed, shamed, judged, criticized, or made wrong, the brain stores that memory and the wall gets higher and you become more and more enemies with each other. And literally the brain doesn't see your beloved. The brain sees an enemy. So with that, I'm going to turn over to the great Paul Sterling.
Thank you.
Well, one of the things that to think about is there's 3 levels of relationships with your needs. And yes, this is an overgeneralization. The first level is my needs don't matter and neither do yours. So stop friggin' talking about them because it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And so what happens when that's there is we can't ask for our need for space in a way that's like clean, that doesn't have some like energy to it. The next level up is needs shame. And, you know, one of the big insults we have is you're needy. And it's like, we're all needy. All you've got to do is someone says they're not needy, don't feed them for a week. They get really needy. So the only people who aren't needy are the people who are getting their needs met in that moment. But biologically, chemically, whatever you want to say, we're all needy. And it's a great planet for that. So the second level, though, is we have needs shame, but we want our needs to get met. So we think that our partner should read our mind. If you can't read my mind and give me my needs without me having to be vulnerable and ask for them, you don't love me. Then the third level is I love my needs. And this was an alien concept to me before meeting Marshall Rosenberg. That man transformed my life. But you having needs for space, because the typical thing that happens in relationships is we have this need for connection and communication and intimacy. We jump into a relationship, and then our needs for autonomy, space, and choice don't get met, and then we get out of the relationship. So we end up in this yo-yo, in a relationship, out of it. But the idea, you know, studying with Scott and Emily, it's like to fall in love with your beautiful needs and be able to ask for space without it meaning I'm leaving. Because in my nervous system, asking for space kind of means that's a way to say we're on our way out the door. But if you get it early on, you can ask for space, especially if you're living together 24/7. I need a weekend, and I'm going to come back full, and I'm going to come back and be more connected in the relationship. It's not an excuse to get out. It's actually when you get your needs met, you're more in a relationship.
I want to say that's exactly what Emily and I are experiencing these days. Last week, we set it up in advance. She stayed in San Diego 3 extra days, hung out with her friends down there. And I picked her up at the airport. I drove up by myself and then picked her up at the airport on Saturday afternoon. And she's going away tomorrow for another couple of days to also visit friends. And so she's making other friendships a priority right now in this time of her life. And there's part of me that gets scared and trippy.
And we process that.
And we
we
talk
about it. Like, how do we create mutuality around it? What are his needs? Does he have certain boundaries around it? Like, I want to respect and also consider and honor that for you.
And the main thing that I always ask for is bring more love back to the nest. And that's what she's been doing. Mm-hmm. She goes away, she sees her friends, she goes dancing, whatever it is. She comes back and she's loving me up more. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that
meets my value, which meets my value for him trusting me to have even more autonomy, freedom of expression, creativity, different friendships, and then I get super filled up and then bring it back to you.
Yeah. And it's working. It's challenging. You know, we have to talk things through, and I have to breathe through some stuff. You know, the stuff I'm breathing through is my ego. You know, it's just not doing anything wrong, and the people's just hanging out with their healthy, good influences on her.
Don't get too cocky,
and then periodically Dahmer. So, you know, anyway,
that's another episode.
The great Paul Sterling has spoken, and I'm curious. Of course, I'd love to hear from both Daniel and Kate. Daniel, are you engaged? Are you comfortable that we're kind of?
Dude over here.
I'm sorry. I'm not into this tonight. I was waking up last night at like 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was up for like 2.5 hours, and I didn't get all the sleep, so I'm just kind of like exhausted.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and just want you to know that even if Kate's doing more of the talking about your situation, we care about you both. You're both important individually, and both important as a couple.
One thing about space is, in a month, I'm going to New York and Daniel's going to California for a job.
Oh, wow.
So I'm, and I mean, I'll be back and forth. I'm taking care of my elderly father who's in San Diego, so I'll be back and forth. But one of my concerns is if we're not connecting now, a month before we're about to be apart for like 5 or 6 months, I don't think that bodes very well for how we're going to stay connected when we're not on the same coast. Yeah. So it's a big concern for me.
Yeah, I just really want to say that I think at this point you guys both have emotional sunburns with each other, which is, it's really hard to work things out without the presence of a coach. Mm-hmm. And so I would really recommend that if you feel a connection to Paul or you feel a connection to Scott, that you guys book some session work individual so you can really feel held. And both.
We might want to do that. We actually have been working with someone.
Oh, great.
In New York for like a couple years.
Oh, great.
Good.
But we did a Skype call with her this morning. And what she basically said was for me not to talk. And she was like, just don't talk. Just don't talk. Just don't talk to him. And just be in your lives and don't talk to him. And I have to say, I respect her opinion. I think she's wise and she's helped us a lot in the past. But I felt not supported by that feedback. It just, it didn't sit right with me. It's just like, well, I don't get it.
I think Lauren's going to say something.
Kate, I would say to you that you've been working with somebody for 2 years and you guys are looking at each other as enemies, and Daniel's completely disconnected from you and you're disconnected from him, then clearly it's time to really reconsider who you're getting coaching from, because possibly something's not working. And I will just tell you that, I've worked with a lot of therapists over the years, and this is not my first rodeo in life. I was in a 19-year marriage, and so, before this relationship, and Scott and Emily are absolutely amazing. And just listening to Paul, he's obviously over the top as well. So, my personal advice is if, like, whether you're dealing with a doctor or a lawyer or whatever you're dealing with in life,
Yeah.
For me, it's always, I'm going to absolutely find the absolute best resource who can get me there the fastest, whether that's my guitar instructor or my voice instructor,
I agree.
whatever it is. So
I mean,
so
this
I really
woman has,
consider,
but she has really helped us. But just today, in this critical place, I just felt like, you know, that just doesn't seem like really helpful advice.
yeah, and I just want to say one more thing. You know, if she's not teaching you languaging skills and a body of work around those, because that's really what it all boils down to, is it's really creating new neural pathways on how you speak to one another and the proper way to language and to express things to each other in a way that you both can get it. And when you have a shared common language, and whether it be, you know, the language that you learn through Scott and Emily in Love Coach Academy, or Marshall Rosenberg or Paul Sterling, or, you know, all of the MVC type language, or, you know, if you're doing landmark, it's the landmark languaging. But language is the key, because if we're speaking two different languages, then we're just not connected.
I completely agree.
You know,
And
so,
I mean, that's the whole reason I'm in this, because I feel like it's all about the communication. So to be told, just don't talk, doesn't feel right to me at all. Doesn't feel right to me. So anyway, thank you for that feedback. And
thank you, Laura.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for, and Kate and Daniel, we care about you. And thank you for what you shared, Laura. It's just beautiful. Let's see, Christine and Larry, or maybe Laura. I don't know who it is that's the Samsung person.
But they said they couldn't talk in the chat box.
Yeah, they can't talk, but they did say that they have great appreciation for watching this. So just want to let everybody know that it's been helpful to them, so thank you. Would Christine and Larry, okay, great.
Sure.
Hi.
You're up.
Hey.
Okay. So first of all, I would say that I've certainly been able to relate to both sides of Lawrence and Kate's conversation. And really my challenge, I think, as I sit and I listen, is the unfamiliar feelings of embodied empathy. I was just telling Christina that, using the terminology new neural pathways, heartfelt and embodied empathy for me is creating all new neural pathways. It's not really something that I was raised with or raised around, and certainly I'm sure a lot of guys would say the same thing. So to be able to access it, especially in an inflamed situation, is extremely challenging for me at times. And I'm more likely to take my old, take the path I've always taken, where those ruts are running really deep and the wheels fall in so quick and easy. And that is just go right up to your head and try to talk my way through it, or reason my way through it. But I know the listening stops, and I become more of a right fighter than listening. I think listening gets me closer to my heart, or into my heart, and I'm able to begin the accessing of empathy. And not only for her, but also for myself, because typically, I run a line of having enough to share, versus just filling myself up. So.
Thank you so much for your vulnerability and your honesty around that. It's really beautiful. And I just want to give you the reassurance that you're not alone. Like, I would say all of us could probably say that learning embodied empathy is a foreign skill that none of us learned. We didn't have that in our homes. Most of us were not taught about our feelings. So I just want to let you know that, I see people shaking their heads, like we're all, Lawrence and Julie, we laugh that we're looking at sheets of feelings, like, and it's like this simple, and yet it's so hard in a way, Right. So it's not normal, and it's really deep to be able to move into our feelings and learn how to really embody them in a deep way. I'm still learning how to do it, honestly. It's still such a deep practice, and I still feel my edges of how deep I can go with it.
Right.
So just to be like, to appreciate and validate where our edges are, and don't make ourselves wrong, don't beat ourselves up about it, but celebrate ourselves and our growth and our willingness to keep expanding and deepening into it.
That's so important. Celebrate every little step. Appreciate each other for every little step. Christina, every time you see him trying, give him a kiss.
Okay.
Really, because it's like, what happens is we don't want to perceive that this is just one more thing to feel judged about. We want to experience this as one more thing that we're learning and growing together.
My whole body
Growing
just
this
goes
together.
when I hear that. When we, honestly, it's like we're living in the world now of win-win. Win-lose is cool for sports. We have the Warriors game. We just watched the Warriors game. I mean, win-lose is cool for sports, but not in relationship. Relationship, we want to do the win-win. Like, how can we get each other's needs met and do it from a place of joy and celebration and deepening together?
Right. I agree with that. And, I think we live a life, we've been together a long time, and as you guys know, and we live a life of, at a pretty high plane as far as our joy factor goes. And to, it's a pretty easy cop-out to just say, life's great, why are we pushing things? But when we go off course, we go off pretty far. I mean, we can go zero to the ditch pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And, and because we know what buttons to push.
Yeah.
So certainly, I do well with reinforcement, positive reinforcement. So thanks, Guy. Great idea. And because acknowledgement to me really helps get, to try to touch back in and take the pause and not just try to talk my way through it.
Scott and I found that the more that we give each other appreciation and we just celebrate more, like our vibration naturally is really pretty high. And so when we talk about difficult stuff, it's like it can more gracefully, we can hear it, we can receive it, we can move it through. But if we don't have the well of appreciation and celebration built, then we start to have that we start picking at each other, and then it's like really like, there's so many withholds that we don't share. So do you feel that too? Like the more we have of,
yeah.
So when we talk about things, it's, it's like we can get through it quicker. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we don't have this mountain
of resentment.
Right. And the more that we're sitting on the mountain of resentment, the more the little passive-aggressive, remarks come. Sex drive starts dropping pretty dramatically. Just the whole holistic balance of the relationship goes into the gray zone, the black zone.
Sure.
And can I say that we're about to celebrate our 34th year of being married?
That's how old Emily is, right? That's awesome. That is so awesome.
Young.
That's so beautiful.
I feel like we found our way all along, and this is so exciting to know there's shortcuts now. We end up in loving, wonderful spaces after, going off in the ditch. But it's so nice to know that we now can look at you two and meet all these people online and have support that we didn't have before.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Christina and Larry. That's awesome. Yay. Thank you.
I really, truly do see this is just going to keep growing bigger and bigger, and we're going to have more and more community, and this is really exciting. I mean, I think, I can't say for everybody else, but I feel overjoyed that we can create safe spaces like this to really be in our heart and be vulnerable. And like Paul said, like we can lean in and lean in for the purpose of like going deeper together and creating what we want to see in the world, which is like, there is a lot of suffering, and how do we show up in our hearts with so much suffering around us? Go ahead.
Can I say one quick thing? So what makes a relationship, what makes people old is when the best part of their life is in the past. When people are young, the best part of their life is what they're looking forward to. In a relationship, what makes a relationship young is it's it's in the upward curve where it's easy to win and hard to lose. Like you celebrate and there's a sense of gratitude. What makes a relationship old and painful, it's easy to lose and hard to win. And especially in the masculine mind, we like to win. It's not win over the feminine, but it's to win with the feminine. I went and got coffee. I did, like, if you celebrate the little things and give a lot of attention to them, they want to do more. If you criticize them, they want to do less. And pretty soon, if the masculine doesn't feel like it can win with you, it goes somewhere else to look for the attention, whether it's an affair or whether it's just that their emotional attention is somewhere else. So like Kate, with you, before you leave, it's like figure out what feels like a win between the two of you. And this is me being unpolitically correct, but my heart just sank when I heard that their recommendation for you was to not talk. What I want to do is teach, or have Scott teach you how to talk in a way that gets you what you want, to lean in. But the more that you don't talk, the more pissed off you're going to be, because you're being taught that your needs aren't important. And that just sucks. So I'm pissed inside that someone would say that. It's out of ignorance in my mind. So I'm probably stepping out there, but. So
thank you for that, Paul. I'm seeing Lee raising his hand. So Lee, you're up.
Well, because I'm hearing the words from Kate about what she experienced from the therapist. And I agree that if I take that literally, that I've been told not to talk, I could get angry. And another piece of this communication for me is to ask, was there a different message that was underneath the words? Mm-hmm. Did the therapist have another intention that was received through Kate's personal filter, and the way it landed was
maybe they've
been told not to talk?
From what the therapist said.
That's a really good point. That happens so often. As a coach, we see that. That's where we ask, what did you hear? We say something, what did you hear?
Or what do you mean by that?
Or what do you mean by that? Yeah.
Well, because I've got another interpretation in my mind that might be a possibility. And, like in a polarity model, we talk about ether, which is just a little bit of space to allow things to be so that we can, it's like the connected timeout, but it's a little bit different in that maybe it's about slowing the words down a little bit and letting there be some space between the words, which could be different than don't talk. It's, can we slow the cadence down and let there be some spaciousness that maybe the partner could hear
come up for breath.
Yeah.
Something different in the space.
Yeah. I think that's very insightful, as a possibility. I'm going to see what Kay has to say.
I don't know. No, she told me not to talk. I mean, I don't know if she just meant like right now for the next few days, because we've had this really rough period, but that I was supposed to just not talk. We were just supposed to go about our business and like be happy and be pleasant. And, I was raised in a family where I was taught to do that, where I wasn't supposed to talk. I was supposed to act happy, be pleasant, don't be angry, don't be sad. And I have a real reaction to that because I'm almost 65 years old. I don't want to be like that in my own life now. I grew up in a family where that wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
So
thank you for that. And I think even though Kate didn't experience it, that's what she meant. I really like the point that Lee made. Just is so important. When we're triggered, we sometimes hear a certain piece and we'll interpret it in a way that isn't how it was meant. So it is always, when we're triggered, a good idea. Get curious. What did you mean by that? This is what I just heard, I liked when Paul was translating for Lawrence, and what Lawrence heard was his mother engulfing him, And so learning to own at that level, I'm getting triggered, and I do that a lot with Emily. I let her know, hey, I'm getting triggered right now. That's what I'm calling yellow light. I want to slow this down.
Well, and I wanted to really appreciate Kate's clarity of what she heard and how she felt what felt like an attack and how it re-stimulated that. And I really appreciate her sharing that so that I could get it, what her experience was. Clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. We haven't heard from Laura or Annie Hobson, so I don't know if either of you want to come on, if there's anything you'd like to ask for support on. We're kind of getting close to the end of our practice group for the night, so just want to open up to anybody we haven't heard from yet. And see if they're talking to me in the chat room. They're not. So, does anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring up? Anything they'd like to? Or Annie, is that you trying to come on in?
Yeah.
Hi, Annie.
Hi. I was just listening in. I saw mostly couples. I didn't feel like I have any couple issues right now.
Oh, well, we're not limiting it to couple issues. It kind of turned out that way. But we've got Lee and Laura's here by herself, I think, tonight. So it's not a couples class, but I can understand how you might have experienced it that way.
Yes. Yes, I was listening in and doing some other things, chores too, here. Yes, the mirroring and the practice that I've had with having empathy was extremely useful to me this weekend. I was at a intimacy exploratorium workshop for 3 days with my son, and there was had been some contention with me and another community member, and yeah, in this I had stood up in the community and said I want to find out what's happening here, because there's a concern that I have that she had been talking about me very unkindly to other people, but not in a way that was useful towards helping the situation become resolved. And the leader had me do the mirroring that you were just saying. And what I found out was her memory and perception of our interactions were extremely different than mine. And I actually looked pretty horrible. I mean, if I had actually said the things that she, in the way that she had remembered them, I would have judged myself to be pretty extreme. But I, instead of feeling like I needed to defend myself, I just dropped into the compassion with her about this is her experience nonetheless. Nice. And I remembered that I didn't need to defend myself at all. And so I didn't. And I trusted the other members in the community who all had various views on this interaction between us to just be in compassion.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the way we want to be in community. Thank you for sharing that, Annie.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if Paul has anything you'd like to reflect kind of as we wrap up. Anything, Paul, you want to share?
I love this process. I love Scott and Emily and how my studying with them has taken my personal relationship to the next level. And I feel like I live in a laboratory because it's like I teach it and I learn it. And I really appreciate everybody being on the call because there's a huge difference between dabbling and mastery. And the problem is most people want a mastery result and they put in dabbling efforts. And it's like, I have an intense yoga practice. I go once a year, whether I need it or not. I was waiting for the ripple effect there. You know, people are going to go, no, that's not a yoga practice at all. That's an occasional visit. But like, if you really want to have an empathy practice, like my yoga practice, I go 2 or 3 times a week, or I go biking. I do something physical because we're building an empathy muscle. We're building that ability to not go into reaction. The Dalai Lama has built an amazing empathy muscle. It's not like he doesn't feel. He feels everything intensely, but doesn't go into reaction because he's got a low level of trigger ability. And that's what we're trying to do, is create a practice where we're not as triggerable. And I am very triggerable. I can connect to everybody and their triggers, but I'm also working at a practice of becoming less triggerable and more connected, you know, and think about it. Is this something you want to master? And are you putting in master results? And do you have a coaching practice where you have a coach? Like, I still get coached by Scott and Emily probably more often than I think I should. I have a judgment about myself. I should be more enlightened than I am. So thank you, everybody. And each time I watch people struggling with this, I go, oh, my heart goes out, and I'm touched by the vulnerability and the willingness to share that with this group. So thank you for having me be part of this.
Thank you, Paul. You know, and I want to acknowledge, you know, it's true. It's like, to the degree we put time and energy in, we get good at this stuff. And Paul is in the best relationship of his life right now. He's in a fantastic relationship, and he's a great coach. So if you're looking for coaching, Paul's a good choice. Want to acknowledge that we have a Love Coach mentorship retreat starting next week, and Melanie will be there, and Annie Hobson will be there. Annie's flying in from Maryland. And it's going to be really powerful. We have 1 spot left. We're limiting it to 10 participants. So if anybody wants to come in, Love Coach Julie, maybe, cultivate your love coaching. Love Coach Lee. Anyway, if whatever wants to come in, it's going to be just 10 participants, Emily, myself, and one other love coach, really focusing on coaching and building on coaching skills. So we've got 1 spot left, April 5th through the 11th, right here in our home, and also the home next door. And we provide food, lodging. It's going to be an amazing week. The other thing I want to mention is our Relationship Mastery course. We are now accepting applications for the Relationship Mastery course. It's a 6-month course. It's going to be our longest, most advanced course ever. It's 13 Sundays every other Sunday, so it's every other week. So we have 2 weeks to do the soul work and different things. And it's from April 30th until October 15th. So you can go to relationshipmastery.org to learn all about that. Perfect. We're at 8:58. Any final thoughts, comments, questions? Anybody else want to add anything before we say goodnight? No? All right. I want to say thank you to Magic and Melanie for that really beautiful demonstration going back and forth. Thank you, Christina and Larry, being the first people on the call. I always appreciate the first people. And also thank you, especially Larry, for bringing up the vulnerability about learning embodied empathy, because that was really important. Lawrence and Julie, thank you so much for this amazing dynamic that you shared and your commitment. They did Relationship Essentials. They are doing Relationship Mastery. They did Relationship Essentials twice. Twice. I mean, they are as dedicated. And that's why they rock.
Yeah, baby.
Lee Garrett, thank you for your wisdom. It's always good to see you join us. Kate, your vulnerability, very, very beautiful. And, you know, I hope that you and Daniel can get the support that you agree on and can work with. And you're both good people. You're just in pain. I want to thank Laura and Annie Hobson for their joining us, the wonderful woman Sam Sung and her comments. So, God's blessings, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next week. I do want to save the chat real quick.
Awesome. I really want to hear Dream On.
Hold on 1 second, sweetie. Save the chat. Okay, there we go. And